Coronavirus has kept us in our homes, in a world where we're not allowed to be around other people. The poets desperately need to speak. And because of that, we have created the Denver Digital Slam. What's up, everybody? My name is Hoser, and I will be your host for this very amazing event we are about to witness. This is our very first production, our very first broadcast of the Denver Digital Slam. We've been collaborating and working hard with Ryan Fu and the We Are Denver Network, as well as Franklin CRUZ, and a bunch of different orgs are going to help us live stream this. But we're really excited to present to you the Denver Digital Slam. Today, we have 11 of the dopest poets in Denver, Colorado, who are going to go head-to-head in a spoken word battle and competition. For those of you who have never been to a poetry slam was, I guess, brought up again because this is not a new concept. This has been going on in different cultures for thousands of years, but it resurfaced in the 1980s or 1990s by a construction worker and a bunch of poets from Chicago. So what? Who were tired of listening to the same old poems about cats and trees and really boring stuff that no one really wanted to listen to, right? They wanted to hear what was really going down in the streets, so they decided to give power back to the people. And they handed scorecards to 5 random judges in the audience, and they asked the judges to score the poets based on however much they liked the poem, or however strong the poet's pen was, or however good the performance was, and how they made it feel overall, right? This kind of flipped the whole script, and it kind of transformed this game that we play into what it is today, right? Which is an international, sensation. So for those of you who have maybe never actually been to a slam, those poets usually have a few rules that they have to follow, right? First thing is they have a time limit, right? Poets have 3 minutes to recite their poem or presentation, right? They can not go the full 3 minutes if they don't want to, but it is recommended that you use the 3 minutes, right? There's also no use of props in a poetry slam. You cannot use anything to kind of highlight or to improve or to step up on another poet. Also, you are not allowed to plagiarize, right? You cannot come up here and read another poet's work. It has to be an original piece. You can't come up here and start rapping verse from Kanye West or Travis Scott or Nas, right? And expect that we're not going to catch that. We will catch it. Do not cheat. You can sample. That is totally fine. But you cannot come up here and just pretend that someone else's poem is yours, right? Please be noted of that. Now, like I said, the scale is from 1 to 10, 1 being the worst poem you've ever heard in your entire life, and 10 being the most amazing poem you've ever heard in your entire life. There are 3 rounds to the slam, right? The first round, we will eliminate down to 6, and then in the second round, like I said, we will be going down to 2 poets, and that will be a head-to-head battle to determine who will be our very, very first Digital Slam champion. All right, so I want to emphasize this point, right? Even though this is a fun game and even though we're having fun, the point of the poetry slam is not really to compete or to beat someone. The point is, we always like to say this saying, the point is not the points, the point is the poetry. And I also want to add, the point is not the point, the point is the community, most importantly, right? Since during these times when we can't be around other folks, this is a big connection, and this is an opportunity for us to stay connected, to be able to still continue to hear and value each other's work. And also, if you'd like to donate anything to these poets who are going to be spitting, right, all of their Venmo accounts and their PayPal accounts and everything like that will be, tagged in there below so that you can support. Please support our poets, right? This is something that we do for a living, right? And even though this is fun, this is kind of how we get by. And so if you can help us out, right, that's what We at Denver is about, making sure we take care of artists. But anyways, I'm really excited and I'm ready to get this slam going. And so I'm going to read you the poets who will be competing in this slam. You will hear from these poets in this order. First off, we have Paulie Lipman. Second off, we have Alejandro Jimenez. Third, we have Jovan Mays. 4, we have Elijah Lynch. 5, we have Kai Lee. 6, we have Ryan. 7, we have Theo Luciferi Wilson. 8, we have Mahogany. 9, we have Andre, aka Hakeem Furious. 10, we have Toluwa. And finally, 11th, we have Seth Walker. This is a fire list. Please stay tuned and check this out. It's going to be an amazing, amazing slam. So, I also want you to meet our judges. 1, we have a school teacher by the name of Mr. Cedillo, aka El Yayo. Second off, we have an amazing, also used to be a teacher, but now is a car salesperson. Please make a lot of noise for Tiqua Stern. Third, we have an amazing community activist. Please make a lot of noise for my homegirl, Pamela. And last but not least, we have Wade up in here helping us judge. Yo, we're really excited about this. Without further ado, let's get to the first poet. Please make a lot of noise for the one and only, a Denver icon. Make a lot of noise, clap, whatever you want. Make sure you comment below, but make sure you give this poet some love. Make a lot of love for Paulie Lipman.
Just because I know the architecture of my closet does not mean I want to go back. The first time I even saw the door was right before I chose to leave. It seemed unworthy of a grand exit with its cheap pine, so I tunneled under it. My coming out was an evacuation. It made sense as the voices from under the floorboards had always been so friendly. The ground will eventually have us all, so why not shake the boards above our head and stomp, stomping joy? I was ready for the world, as I had already done all my dying inside. The vaulted ceiling with so many low-hanging beams that seemed to sneer, "This is what you deserve, yet will still condemn you to hell." But the steeples held no heaven, and hell, the floorboards, earth were always warmer, so I took 30-some-odd years to dig my way out and communed and learned from the dirt. Life comes up from the ground, not down from the heavens, and I am still emerging. I don't have to look back to know that the door and the floorboards and the beams and the catacombs have all burned, ash-sown the earth, and in its place now stands a meadow, the most fitting of tombstones.
What an amazing way to start the slam. Thank you so much, Paulie. Joe, I just want to remind everybody that this is a call and response community, right? And so we do want interactions from the audience. So please don't forget to comment below, right? If you disagree with the score that a judge is giving, please let the judges know, right? Comment below. If you dig what the poet is doing, please comment and let them know. Show them some love, right? It's just like we were back in a real slam. But basically, at this point, we're going to move on to the judges. Judges, what do you think about that score?
So our judges for Paulie's first poem gave it a high score of a 9. Someone very, very much like that. But then somebody else had some other feelings, and they give it the low score of a 4.5. So our 3 middle scores in no particular order are an 8.7, a 7.4, and an 8.5 for Paulie, with a grand total of a 24.6.
Like I said, if you disagree with the scores, please comment below and make sure you let the judges know. But without further ado, let's get to the next poet up on the mic. Please make a lot of noise for Alejandro Jimenez.
You're Mexican until you go to a white college. Then you are Latino, Latina, Latinoa, Latinx, Hispanic, her panic, everyone's panic. And everybody wants to tell you about the first time they visited Puerto Rico or Costa Rica or Ecuador. You let them know that that's not Mexico. What's the difference? They speak Spanish too. Insert pearly white teeth, smiling lips, looking like nooses waiting to tighten around a neck if challenged. You're Mexican until you speak Spanish too much and you play banda too loud. Then you are too ethnic, a bit too dangerous. They like their salsa mild and sweet. They just want to tell you stories about some resort manicured for their lily pink bodies where the water is purified before it touches their skin and the sand on the beach is made out of stars and it is lukewarm on their feet and the seashells are individually polished every night and thrown on the ground before one of them asks for a cerveza in the morning. You're Mexican until they find out you only got your papers a couple of months before starting college. Then you are the shot at redemption. Then you are a ticket to ease their white guilt. Then you are proof that the system is not broken, Alejandro, Alex. Every once in a while, they have to let a few of us make it to keep the carrot dangling in front of our faces. You're Mexican until they find out you grew up as a farm worker. Then you are a Yelp review representative and they ask you questions like, so where is the best you picket farm located? You're Mexican until you approach the dinner table and one of them says, look, here comes the beaner. And they all laugh. And one of them tries to have your back and he says, he's not that much of a beaner. They laugh. You sit with them. Eat your dinner anyway because they are your friends. This is the price of the American dream. They will joke about running away to Canada if an election threatens their liberal lifestyle, white supremacy. It knows no borders. It is a global citizen with a passport anywhere. You're Mexican until you start calling yourself brown. Until you stop laughing at their jokes. Then you are angry. Then you are like the rest of them. You're Mexican until you say, no human being is illegal. Until you say, borders are just an idea we decided to build. Then you're ungrateful. Then why are you here? Then why don't you go back to where you came from? Because we planted and harvested the food on your plate. We deserve to eat it too.
Very powerful poem from Alejandro. Please make sure you continue to comment and show poets some love. But let's get to the judges. What do y'all think about this poem, judges? Let us hear it.
So our judges for Alejandro were feeling it with the high score of a 9.8 and a low score of an 8.0. And everything in the middle will be added. That is an 8.0, a 9.5, and an 8.2, giving Alejandro a 25.7.
We are off to a scorching hot start here at the Denver Digital Slam, but let's keep it going. The next poet is former Aurora Poet Laureate. Please make a lot of noise for Jovan Mays.
Today, we're going tuxedo shopping for my nephew Kevin for prom. He's 18 years old, and this is supposedly the last time he gets to make this decision. Naturally, he wants the hot pink pants with the hot pink tie and the gator skin shoes, and I'm optimistic. The boy looks bad, and he comes out of the dressing room, and my 5-year-old nephew Kason starts yelling in the middle of Men's Warehouse, yay, 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 because he can't say KJ yet. And I guess this is just how decisions are made in my household. See, on these days, we're all black boys. All smiles, all aspirations, bright brown-eyed, figuring this world out. Learning how to perfect our hair, our jump shot, our end zone dance, our mat game while your mama makes you put grease on your elbows. We laugh explosive. Teeth barely grown in. We ask questions of shit we already know. We want to be famous and see the world, like kids do. From church skinny ties to flat-billed hats and matching shoes, from finger waves to Gumbies, mini fros to dreadlocks, fresh fitted. The freshest of the fresh, ready to grab her hand during couple skate or bring home a report card. On these days, we're all black boys. All body bags. All filled with holes. All autopsies. All unrecognizable. Baptized in sirens and secrets, unaware that others could supersede our skin's darkness. On these days, we're all black boys. Our spirits drifting into the night sky. Nephews, cousins, uncles, aunties, black boys. On these days, even grandfathers become boys. They stumble back into time when its narrative was the exact same. When the entire neighborhood had a funeral in the middle of the street for the kids whose name we all knew. Mother crying in the backdrop, and black boys watched other black boys become asphalt. On these days, even sisters become boys. Only knowing how to teach them how to find the right partner. And when they're stolen, it feels like you're breathing molasses air. Eric Garner air. It travels through your body like a horse carriage casket lowered into your chest. Breathing is so heavy on these days, and on these days we're all black boys. But especially the black boys. Ignorant and unaware as they should be. Emulating their favorite rapper, athlete, or man in their life, so full of effort, so willing to try, so unsure of the world's ways, shit, maybe wanting to be a police officer one day, a doctor, the president, hoping they could steer this thing in the right direction, that he could stitch his best friend back together, but he has no idea that he's growing up so fast. He can only see it in the way that they see him. Patrol cars are more hungry, billy clubs are more curious, bullets are more inspired, and he knows this, but he doesn't know why. He thinks he's famous, doesn't feel the crosshairs sizing him up, but we all do. And we still fail to intercept what we saw coming. On these days, we are all black boys, all broken, forever baffled, and right now out there in our own streets, bleeding.
You can always count on Jovan to spit some fire. Judges, what do you think about Jovan's poem? Let's see some scores.
So with Jovan, we're going to keep the high end of the scores rolling with another 9.8. But we're going to quickly downgrade into a 6.5 for our low score. But our middle three being added together nonetheless are a 9, a 7.8, and a 9.2, giving Jovan a grand total of 26 even.
If you're just tuning in, this is the Denver Digital Slam on the We Are Denver Network. Our next poem coming up to the stage is an amazing poet, a youth advocate. Please make a lot of noise for Elijah Lynch.
This is a love letter to whom it may concern, written from a bridge I still ain't found a way to burn. I mean, you know me, always leaping, never landing, always merely seeking understanding. But sometimes I look up at the sky and try to find the star that stole the twinkle from your eye. I wonder if you're looking at it too, and then I try not to wish upon it that you die, or if not you, then I. Why? Because I'm not superstitious. And so it would seem foolish, or at least not too efficient. And if it did come true, knowing that I threw my wishes in the well for you would tell you too much and it's too expensive. And we started arguing all the fucking time, and that shit sucked. And it got harder when I fought to get you back, and we got stuck. I should have cut my losses. To be honest though, I learned a lot. I know you'll always be there to let me down until you're not. Love can cost an awful lot. But they also say it's better to have loved and lost than not loved at all. But I'm almost certain that they're wrong, though I pretend they're right some nights when I'm burning to belong to somebody who would hold me through the cold nights and the hardship. She would love that I'm an artist. She'd be down to chill and starve with me. We'd starve for each other day and night, and then start arguing night and day, and make up and say maybe we could find a way. Why? I couldn't really tell you. I know there's something in me that feels hella helter-skelter. Maybe it's my nature. I guess I've always felt the need. No, it won't end well. I don't know what to tell you, see. I'll waddle to my bottle, wishing it was you. Thank God it's not. I drop the bottle, then collect the broken shards. They're all I've got. Remember being happy. I thought that was us, but I forgot. I'll always love you, but love doesn't feel a thing like I had thought. The blurriest phases were the furious rages, and explaining them to the concerned or curious faces. The feeling never quite returns when it's faded, but it sure never goes away once it's outdated. I'm outdated now, and wow, how outrageous. Waded my way through this dismay just to run out and replace it. I mean, face it. We're both gonna face a lot of faces, and catch cases of feelings when their smiles are contagious. I'm trying to embrace it. I brace myself to fall. I ain't myself at all when I'm waiting on your call. You make me lose sight of the side of me I like. You make me get all overly excited in the night. You make me do things that I've decided are not right, and become a weaker man as I try with all my might to deny the fact the fool I act is cruel to my health, make believing you're making me do what I do to myself. Well, my letter never made it to an envelope. Instead, it got enveloped in a pond of marijuana smoke. I'm holding on to hope that I stop holding on to hope that you and I will tie the knot before I put it on a rope. I hope I don't lose sight of what was once important, when waking up beside you was the thing that made my morning. This is an overdue goodbye that it still feels too early for. Insincerely or insecurely yours, Elijah.
Always coming through with a nasty flow. Make a lot of noise for Elijah. Let him know what you feel about the poem. Judges, it is your turn to let us know. Please let me see what the scores are.
Our scores for Elijah, again, high end of a 9.8, but switch to a low score of a 3.7. Someone had some feelings about that, but we're going to go ahead and add our middle scores of an 8.2, a 9.2, and a 7.5, giving Elijah a grand total of a 24.9.
You are watching the Denver Digital Slam on the We Are Denver Network. Our next poet coming up to the mic is the one and only, repping the Merc, Kylie!
Some of us, instead of dealing with hurt, run toward more of it, trying to escape, become familiar with the patterns we battle to fathom laughter, scatter from the banter, sinking into cycles at our own expense. Some of us have been ticking each other off into time bombs, accommodating short fuses long after they've sparked. Can't wait for the sake of patience, like a late paycheck we've worked so hard for. Our mayhem is face-up destruction laid blatantly in front of us, eyes open with the audacity to keep at it in the face of tragedy. Some of us go boldly into the panic, clocking overtime for people and things not made for us. Some of us haven't accepted that some things and people just aren't made for us. We learn to thrive from heartbreak, motivated by the ache. Each muse comes with the new blues to tune into. We make magic out of mishap. Men fracture from foes with gold between each crack. Some of us are so close to going back, to tolerate pain, Use our hearts as marks to validate blame in toxic games. These back and forth tactics of the lacking some of us to better bounce back. Love parting of ways, the recalibration of gaze. Run back to ourselves. Live well in spite of old days, failed attempts and passing phases. Collect old and broken pieces for new intentions, lose and try again. Because there's something admirable in some of us who suffer from falling, regain their footing, laugh at their loss of balance, and get the fuck back up again.
Amazing poem by Kylie. Please let us know below in the comments how you feel about that. Judges, let me hear your scores on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3. Voice of God.
These judges really, really like our poets. 9.2 on the high end, and, well, some of them may not, because we have a 6.0 on the low end. But nonetheless, our middle three added together are an 8.9, an 8.5, and a 7.5, giving Kylie a grand total of another 24.9.
The slam is on fire, y'all. This slam is on fire. We're gonna keep this fire going. Our next poet, this poet can ball, y'all. But not only this poet can ball, this poet can also spit some fire. Please make a lot of noise for my boy, Ryan.
So I used to work with these kids with special needs, right? Like Zachary, who became Alice from Wonderland when he was feeling magical, apologized for falling through rabbit holes. In between, blood sugar pin pricks when Carrie got a strike at the bowling alley. All the staff's hearts confetti parts erupted into stars. Yitzi wore a yarmulke and included everyone in blacktop knockout games, but got stuck on math blocks like they didn't want to shoot hoops with you. Jerome or Jay spit on you. Not much more to it. The dude was just kind of a dick like that. But get him in a pool and he would show you how much he loves to swim. Lindsay says there's a monkey on her head, thinks she is the umbrella in the wind, and held my hand like it's a lifeline. While David would wear Michael Jackson t-shirts, did the moonwalk and tipped his top hat to show his class. He spoke into fake microphones and did interpretive dances like that fool invented the encore. And all of them loved to eat lunch. Okay, the word handicap comes from the late 1900s phrase hand in cap, used to describe people with special needs who are forced to beg for food in the streets while holding caps in their hands. If Zachary, Carrie, Yitzi, Lindsay, Jay, and David were born back then and treated that way, they would have been faced with fear and panic until... I'm just so glad that these bright stars do not burn out into a blind galaxy of impatience and ignorance. See, the quality of our society should be measured by its ability to take care of those who need it most, but our culture, edit. In these viral times led by this orange idiot, our culture still values its economy and its property over the life of its people, where corona is not something that you're sipping on, but something you should not be passing on to our vulnerable populations, disproportionately affecting people of color, another form of oppression, and those with compromised immune systems, another form of oppression. See, our wallets speak louder than their voices. 50% of people with special needs are victims of abuse. A disability is not a disease, so do not try and cure them. My bowling score was like Special Olympics low, bro. They are not bruised fruit, just a different kind of orchard. Just because we cannot say a lot of words does not mean that we do not have a voice. See, my friends' stories are as tall as trees, and hidden behind their bark are brilliant sparks. So if you ever see someone's broken star splashed on the ground before them, Help them, sweep them up, and from a socially distant, acceptable 2 shopping cart length distance, place them back in their sky because Zachary, Carrie, Lindsay, Yitzi, Jay, and David will show you. Their mean moonlight will never drown out the brightest of stars.
Okay. All right, judges, can you please tell me what you think about Ryan's poem on the count of 3? 1, 2, 3.
Our scores for Ryan are in the high end of a 9.4, in the low end of a 5.0, and a middle end of a 9.1, a 9.1, and an 8.8, giving Ryan a grand total of a 27-0.
If you haven't been to a real slam, once we get out of this quarantine, you better get there. There's an amazing organization all around the city in every corner. Shout out to Slam Nuba, Week Aheads, Mercury Cafe. Shout out to Minor Disturbance and all the different places that are offering poetry. But next up, we have an amazing poet for y'all, one of the originals from Denver, Colorado. Please make a lot of noise for Theo Wilson, a.k.a. Luciferi.
And still we rise. Maya told me of the greatness we'll become. You could take the black man out of Africa, his heart beats still the drum. And America rolls to the rhythm of my resilience. History's greatest survival story written while they was killing us by the millions, still black and brilliant. Nothing supposedly inferior survived the march from the interior. Plus them ships, whips, and shackles, plantations trying to put fear in us. But if you had to resort to whipping me viciously just to stop me from literacy, then this deadly pen is gonna be the enemy to white supremacy. Rigging every system against me just to cop your green. The homie asked Diana Ross, you are not supreme. Imagine handcuffing a boxer and he still defeats you. When half the pieces on the chessboard, I just killed your queen, dude. If I slammed every door on black folks and they dare to squeeze through, then it's just like a Harvey Weinstein. I'd be scared of me too. Cause still we rise. Burning bright as the eye of God when it bang light through the void. As black as the death of a son. Black like the kinks in Harriet Tubman's hair. Reborn as the rifling grooves inside Huey P. Newton's gun. I'm a slave sorrow dancing off Ray Charles's fingertips. I'm the cotton thorns in Mahalia Jackson's gospel riffs. I'm Louis' trumpet blending voodoo and Christ through cracked lips. I am MJ moonwalking over broken memories of blackness. I'm surviving self-hatred even when preached from the pulpit. The kind that made Africans burn their kinks till they straightened to bullwhips. I'm the heroin Miles Davis injected back into jazz. I'm the fire Muhammad Ali kept in the back of his jab. A raised glove, the lightning flashing through the monsoon and rains. The first African word I ever learned was Boomaye. And if you look at how far we come, you'll be so shocked it'll leave you breathless. Like the ghost of George Washington and Obama's re-election. Give me the alchemy of a rapper taking the lead from the bullets inside of his body and melting them down. I want melting them down into platinum records for us. It's like Bob Marley rolling up and smoking Willie Lynch's ashes and exhaling the words of the first verse of Exodus, movement of Jah people. And this poem is dedicated to the in denial black Americans that travel to Africa every time they step in front of their reflection. To the Latinos who carry African stolen gold in their complexions. To the Congolese women who were systemically violated and left alive due to tribal warfare. And them white kids who would rather die than repeat the crimes of their father's affairs. Stand with us. Sing a freedom song so clear that it shatters the receiver inside Dr. King's wiretap phone. Piercing the clouds and back down to the sound reverberates of the titanium of Malcolm's backbone. Till Africans rise up from the Atlantic like goosebumps from your skin. Lightning flashing like the flame from Huey's gun. Burning bright as the eye of God when it bang light through the void. As black is the death of a son and still we rise.
Judges, please let us know what you thought about Luciferi's poem. On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Our scores for Luciferi are as followed: in the high end of a 9.9 and the low end of a 6.7. But we're going to add our middle scores of a 9.7, a 9.3, and a 9.0, giving us a grand total of a 28 even.
I can feel the heat. Can you feel the heat? Yo, this next poet is only gonna keep that heat coming. Please make a lot of noise for my sister, Mahogany.
Every morning I wake up and I take my paintbrush and I dip it into the color of mahogany. I take that same paintbrush and begin to paint a smile on my face, making sure that I look closely into the mirror so that I can fill in all those blotches of abandonment and abuse. No excuse, just cover, girl, cover up those black-headed secrets you've had hidden inside your pores for years. Or try Maybelline, or maybe lean to the left. Maybe they'll miss your missteps. Inhale breath. Now go out into this world, girl, and smile. My smile. I often mistake it for attire. I put it on one smirk at a time, going out, hoping that I don't catch words of fire. You know, those same old lines of people asking you, hey girl, how you doing? So I have to smile audaciously and say, I'm fine. Knowing deep down inside that anxiety has moved in on my mind, heartbeats are increasing and increasing. Depression, that's been hungry, been feasting. But no time to deal, gotta push through. No time to feel, because that's what grandma them say do. They say, pray about it, baby. Don't let it get to your head. But grandma, prayer without faith and work is dead. How do you go to the hospital to check on the illness of your body instead on what your mind is being fed? I smile because I am black and I am a woman. I have to smile because I am woman and I am black. No matter what I'm stressing, I'm always having to fight off this double oppression. I smile so that they are comfortable with this black girl's flesh. Because God forbid I'm seen smiling while black. And now they see that as a threat. I mean, how do you cope? J. Cole said it's better to meditate than to medicate, and I think that's dope. But what about the ones so entrapped inside their minds they can't seem to find their hope, hoping that this ill mental will get easier to battle with thoughts that are so damn harsh, but at the same time so fragile? Mask on, mask off, mask off, mask on. Smile big, smile bright, so they don't ask, hey, what's wrong? How do you stay afloat? It's okay not to be okay. So I lift the corners of my mouth because that's how I cope. See, I smile every now and then. See, I smile even though I hurt. See, I smile 'cause I know God is working. So I smile. I smile.
What I tell you, fire, straight fire. Judges, please let us know what you think about Mahogany's poem. 1, 2, 3.
Our first round scores for Mahogany are from a high end of 9.5 and a low end of 6.9. We will add together our middle three of a 9.1, an 8.6, and an 8.3, giving Mahogany a total score of 26 even.
You are watching the Denver Digital Slam and the We Are Denver Network, as well as other platforms. Up next, we have an amazing poet who also happens to have an amazing sense of fashion. Please make a lot of noise for the one and only, my homeboy, Hakeem Furious.
I'm hiding secrets and weapons in there. Unfilled timesheets, Germantown mushroom baskets, 3 generations of cheating husbands, Dutch guts from the hot box, the ashtray of Martin, King, Payne, sitcom manifesto, elder scrolls on parking lot pimping at your favorite hole in the wall, 5-finger discount deluxe, the last poker chip in Vegas, a Scorpio moon. That damn Scorpio moon is hiding underneath your nail beds and mixed in with the dirt of New Orleans. The horns from Earth, Wind, and Fire, my budding horns. When you see my pretty little face in hell, 2-strand twist, river of sticks, thick ropes to wrap around the neck of something black invulnerable, strings them up like forbidden fruit, and like honey from the wound until the hips swing. Polaroid picture 3 stacks eulogy, the fear of having a man detangle the roots and stick his fingers in the soil. Your favorite literary knockoff, molded handprints, tentacles on 10. This crown of knots, not professional, not qualified, not about race, but I have the fastest satellite system. I received the message from the face you made the moment I walked into the room, like you've never seen a nigga in freeform before. Me neither. Ashe.
All right, judges. Let them know what you think. On the count of 3, let's hear the scores. 1, 2, 3.
Our scores for Hakeem Furious are in the high ends of a 9.3 and in the low ends of a 7.0. We're going to add together an 8.5, an 8.4, an 8.2 for a grand total of a 25.1.
Denver Digital Slam. It's on. It's popping. What's good? We're going to keep this fire going. Almost done with the first round. Please make a lot of noise for this amazing, incredible next poet to come bless the mic. Please make some noise for Tolua.
Tonight, I'm going to throw it back on you. To show myself I can. To remind my body of resurrection, give afterlife to my haunting need, this indigestible desire to declare myself in pussy juices and baby, my hips spell in cursive, all curses and chords broke with the snap of my G-string, the shot of rum shattered across my kitchen floor, the cackle bursting from my ancient gut, every act of faith in myself wound back like a pitcher's arm. I'ma throw it back. You gon' say my name like it's brand new. You gon' get this unshackled, unashamed, unhinged, freest part of me. You see these thighs. They're all new skin, unconquered, unconquerable. I met this body after months of dressing in someone else's desire, squeezing my lips around anyone else's name but mine. I used to melt into my lovers, but tonight, 2 whole bodies can be 2 whole bodies. My name pours like the last source of water. My every howl becomes balm. You are lucky to witness. Bring offering. I've done the rest. I am a swelling ceremony. Bend a knee. Thrust a joyful noise. Bring offering. Bring the strap, the glass dildo, the whip, the rope, your ready hands, your tongue dripping, your inhaler if you need it. I don't run marathons, but tonight, this pussy is a certified personal trainer. Bring water. Tonight, I'm performing unauthorized miracles, and you're invited. Come bask in my light that never left, in my wisdom in its new shape. I'ma throw it back like I know all the names of love, and the first one is mine.
The amazing poetry continues, one poem after another. Thank you, Tolu, for that amazing piece. Judges, what do y'all think about this one? Let's see the scores. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Tolu's scores are in the high ends of a 9.1, the low ends of a 6.8, but the middle ends of an 8.5, an 8.2, and an 8.2. We're going to add it all together for a grand total of a 24.9.
It's been an amazing, incredible first round. We have 1 poet left, so please, internet and folks all over the world, help me welcome up Seth Walker to the mic.
I saw an internet meme during quarantine, teaching young people about dating and social distancing. Keep 6 feet apart, don't sleep in the same bed, try to avoid intimately close conversations, instead talk from the opposite sides of the room. Married couples, keep it up. I call bullshit. My wife lets no good crisis go to waste. I became unemployed just to get my dream job as my wife's sex slave. While people are all bunkered down sleeping, me and my wife are taking the time to get fucking freaky. Coronavirus has the masses in hazmats, but I wrapped her thighs around my jowls and wore her as a face mask. Short and curly feels forever? Yeah, I plow that. Put a bull ring in my nose so she can help me keep track. Look at that split, lickety-split, seriously, devilishly, like candy and shit. A landed strip won't save me from this crash course. Nicknamed her fourth meal, yeah, she's my smash course. Mouthfuls of beautiful, put dessert to shame. Made her come while doing voodoo, so God called her name. I'm like an owl on a tree on a lollipop bit, counting down to taste her center with my tongue tip. If you like it, then you should have put a ring on it. Done. Throw a saddle on it as my wife rides me into the setting sun. Hip twitching kamikaze, lips met interlocking, hypnotized by the pussy pop and flip me so hard, this is my ass talking. She wondered why I was so good with my tongue. Did the math and figured out I didn't play harmonica just for fun. I have a sweet tooth. I used to eat Claire's, Chandra's, Jessica's, and assorted Sarah's. I set up a tasting booth at the Lilith Fair, see how much I can eat in 5 minutes. Rigged game, not fair. Apparently I can fool a blindfolded lesbian, I swear. Had to slow my roll and reform my palate for refined affairs. Met my dream girl, taste her lips. Overcome by umami, I moved down to her hips. Overcome by little mommy, she was teasing the tip. I blinked my eyes and 2 years later, we're all like married and shit. Surprised in my past bachelor life. Fuck quarantine, but thank God for my wife. May God bless us all with someone freaking to share our lives with. And for all you married couples, keep fucking and stay hydrated.
We are joined by the one and only Chola. And now, judges, will you please tell us the scores for Seth's poem? Ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, and 3.
Seth Walker scores are in the high ends of a 9.6 and in the low ends of a 3.2. We're going to add together, nonetheless, a 9.2, an 8.9, and a 7.8, giving us a grand total of a 25.9.
That brings us to the end of our first round. It was an incredible round of amazing poems and amazing work, but unfortunately, we can only take 6 poets to the next round. So please, help me, first of all, thank Franklin CRUZ for helping and making this possible project. Making this project possible, but also let's hear from him playing the role of voice of God today. Can you please tell us which poets will be moving on to the second round?
Thank you for everyone for submitting to round 1 of the Denver Digital Slam. It is now my obligation as voice of God to tell you who gets into the second round. So we're going to say thank you and submit again to the following poets: Tolu, Hakeem Furious, Kylie, Elijah, and Paulie. So that means into our next round, we are bringing in this order, Alejandro, Seth, Kenya, Jovan, Ryan, and Theo.
There on Alameda where Little Mexico begins, the place where paleteros honk a horn and children come running like bees pollinating a flower, and their smiles are honey and springtime grows in their baby fat-filled hands. This, the place for Sunday morning church and Sunday night cruise. All joy in these streets. Potholes ain't nothing but a reminder to slow down and enjoy the blue and pink sky on a summer night. Burnouts to amplify laughter. Corridos to speak happiness in more than one language. Botas to stay rooted. Shit talking morros y morras asking where the plug be. When the race to look out be. Where the cops be hiding be. Sombrero to prove they are Mexican while they eat a bowl of pho. Be happy here, brown boy. Be eternal here, brown boy. This place will remember you, brown boy. There on Alameda, in front of St. Cajetan's Church, Oscar took his last breath. Former student, trying to tame the wind like he tamed those horses. There, a vigil of brown faces, all lit with burial in their eyes. There, Jesus cried, and Cesar too, and Darwin, and Raúl, and Daniel, and Carlos, and Exar, and Eric, and René, and Ernesto, and me, we all cried. And there were not enough candles to melt our sadness onto the pavement, and we tried praying, but we just hugged each other instead. We were a choir of weeping brown boys. How beautiful to sing like that. How ceremonial to hold each other like that. How these streets give us back to the earth will be something I never agree with. How these streets show us sorrow I will never agree with, but we were there. Holding each other like the sky holds each of its constellations. One of our stars fell that evening, landed on our cheeks, made singers out of us. Oh, how we howled into each other's chests that night. Inside St. Cajetan's church, the casket held his body, gently tucked within shiny white cloth and dressed in clothes picked by his mother. His eyes looked as if they wanted to open. His lips a somber, empty smile. The mariachi sang sad songs. The guitars did not make us want to dance. The trumpets tried, but they could not drown out his mother's cry. The singer of sad songs took a seat and let the sobs in the room be accompanied by the men playing instruments. This ritual of letting go never gets easier. This sore throat, this emptiness, these dry eyes death leaves us with is something I will never cherish. The priest said, Oscar is in a better place now. I looked at his mother's arms, but they were empty. I looked at his girlfriend's mouth, and she was not being kissed by him. If after this is better, let him be laughing. Let him be riding his favorite horse down this Alameda street. Let him stay happy like that. Let him stay happy like that.
You are watching the Denver Digital Slam on the We Are Denver Network, and that was Alejandro Jimenez with some fire poetry. Judges, please let us know, what are the scores for Alejandro?
So the scores for Alejandro are, in the high end, we have a 9.6. And in the low end, not doing too bad with the 7.9. So we're going to add together our middle three of a 9.0, a 9.2, an 8.2, giving us a grand total of a 26.4.
We hope that you're having a blast watching the Denver Digital Slam, and we're going to keep this fire going, so please help me welcome up the next poet up to the stage. Make a lot of noise for Seth Walker!
I keep watching the news, waiting for news of new news. Yeah, it feels just as redundant as it sounds. Every day the hospitals and morgues are getting more full as the grocery store shelves get more empty. I've seen this before. Having survived Hurricane Katrina, I know these trees are not going to stop collecting bodies anytime soon. The powerful have protected their assets while the world economies are losing their asses. So while we were focused on toilet paper, the rich got way richer and the poor got way fewer. This is a holocaust with a rich man's fingerprint. No one has to walk the vulnerable to the showers. They just have to fail on getting them access to the proper equipment. This is population control at its finest, most disgustingly efficient. We see propaganda celeb reports, but none of them are dying. They're just getting tested, treated, and celebrating on their private islands. Whole NBA teams are getting tested with ease, yet we don't have enough tests for the dead bodies for the disease. Gotta save them for Tom Hanks and his family. Fuck having good statistics. This is about American priorities. I dare a motherfucker to give me a better excuse for a class war. Instagram quarantine routines on yachts by rich-ass like whores, like, were they honestly expecting more likes than anger? More riotous fans than growing mob members? Yeah, they were. And that Is why this pen has lurked its way into my hand again. They're feeding us Candy Crush and sugarcoating the venom, and we're letting them. People are out there protesting the government while we all stay at home and remind them to keep their social distance. As if Facebook comments were activism. Man, no Rockefeller kid is scared of your social post, making aloof-ass threats to overthrow when you're too scared to not stay your ass at home. Elites win. Case closed. Ain't gonna be no new news until we make it. And when we finally do, they'll probably claim that it's fake shit. I'm not saying be stupid and go get sick with no sense. I'm just saying I'm also stockpiling pitchforks and torches. So keep watching.
If you're just tuning in, you're watching the Denver Digital Slam, and that was Seth Walker. Judges, please let us know what the scores are for Seth Walker.
Our scores for Seth are in the high end of a 9.5, in the low end of a 5.9, but then in the middles of a 9.5, a 9.3, and an 8.9, giving us a grand total of 27.7.
I'm gonna be honest with y'all, I needed this. I've been missing this so much, y'all. Let's keep this fire going on the second round. Please make a lot of noise for Mahogany.
Curvy and black, thick, brick, house like that. Matter of fact, you can say that she's stacked, racked, or built like a stallion. Everybody bow when she come around us like that. You know, I've always believed that a black woman's hips were strong enough to sink ships because of the burdens that she's been forced upon, not to be outspoken, not to be bold, or even to be sugarcane thick. Not knowing her words speak sweeter than honey do. But society says never mind her mind and then undermine everything that honey do. And then here come you, wanting to ridicule the cinnamon glide in her backside. Something that she built this nation on, something that they hate her on, but try so damn hard to take her form. Don't align your fakeness to her greatness. Quit parading her breasts because you can't seem to climb over the power in her rolling heels. Don't envy, but then empty her sculpture into your trash. I'll call you a thief. Because you've stolen her body parts, put them on display and made a mock of her body's art, when all she really needed was the hands of her community to remold her canvas, to protect and respect the black woman at all costs. Without community, we are lost. See, her frame has framed the faces of this nation, but because of the lion in her glow, you want to nickname her Intimidation. But ain't she a woman? I mean, ain't I a woman? Free to be me in my own universe and be successful, not wanting to end up in the back of a hearse? It's a curse. To be loved and to be hated all at the same damn time. But go ahead and call me an angry black woman for what I believe is called genocide. Because when a black woman dies in a jail cell, is it still considered a homicide? Or, a suicide, right? Right. Her silhouette should not be a threat. Because she is black, because she is woman, or because she has quick language in her tongue. She is mother. She is daughter. She is sister. Hell, she's queen. With tears that exceeds her pain. Just asking you to not forget, but to always remember. Please, say her name. Say Sandra Bland. Sandra Bland. Rest in power, queen. Rest, 'cause you'll always be curvy and black. Thick, brick, house like that. Matter of fact, you can say that she's stacked, racked, or built like a stallion. Everybody bow when she come around. It's like that.
Simply amazing. Simply amazing. Judges, please let us know what the scores are for Mahogany. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
So for Mahogany, in our second round, we have a high score of a 9.6 and a low score, which in my opinion isn't even that low, of an 8.5. And we're going to add together our middle three of a 9.5, a 9.3, and a 9.0 for a grand total of a 27.8.
What I tell ya, Denver Digital Slam, hottest slam in the internet right now. Let us know if you agree in the comments below. Please keep commenting and showing these poets some love. Let them judges know. You gotta put them in check sometimes, you know what I'm saying? The next poet coming up, spitting some fire for y'all, is Jovan Mays. Make a lot of noise for Jovan Mays.
Today, 500,000 lights will radiate on in households all across Metro Denver. They'll switch on. Like generators inside of the schools, they'll generate inside of. Books will peel open like sky to night contrast. Pencils will sharpen like the minds that are sharpening them. And we'll all breathe for a second right before we dive in. Once in, we will grasp onto the foundation as if not to be swept away, because today, the new day is new. Today, parents wave goodbye with the assurance that today, dreams are manifested, infused, and caretaken. Smiles are suggested, hands will raise in curiosity, and questions will be answered. Questions like, Miss Miller, I almost got what you taught me today. Is there any way you can make me get this? Or Miss Walker, Miss Zimmerman, this poetry stuff is hard to understand. Is there any way you can make me get it? And these educators reach into the mine shaft wishing wells of their ingenuities and pull out a spark. This spark will hot potato transfer hands until it generates into the fire that it was born to be. This sporadic illumination reaches a table, and on that it is voted into the sun's inferno to be delivered. Now they've been asking me, what does the school need poetry for? It won't boost the economy or feed a family. And I respond back with a smile to these people. I tell them that every mind is a parachute with a ripcord manufactured from the weight of our imagination. Do not put a dollar sign on imagination, because once that weight takes gravity's downward dip, an explosion is due. An expelled plumage of our brains will cast itself to the wind, and once we land, well, feet hit the ground. Roadrunner, dustbuster, stepping, building, and eventually sprinting. When those feet run, education becomes a journey, and we are trying to create journeys, y'all. We are journey creators, pathways, machetes clearing alleys in confusing jungles, unexpected water in the desert, and a hand to hold to the dark times, saying, go on. Chase it until you catch it. I know that you will find it because it has been in you for so long. We've baited you for this moment when we played your potential, and now you finally grasped it. And could you believe? Sometimes I have the nerve to ask myself, what rests in a sunrise, if anything but awakening? As if it wasn't enough. And then I realize that we are the sun. We are the growth. We are that potential, so gift the wind and watch the explosions. And every ripcord that you find, make sure it gets from another kid, because today we are founded in that spark that I've seen in all of their eyes. Today we are birthed where special needs receive special reaction. Today we are electric. 500,000 lights painting the dark horizon, generating. So today we initiate that we are strapped scribes stretching stories. The voice of the voiceless. Antiquity avengers accounting accuracy so that adolescents can sense the movement of the people. I am the word that stands in the sentence. We are paramedics parachuting minds and paragraphs. We are walking diction canaries, singing definition with wings. Literature's litterers, lecturing levity and libation. I am the daydream, the nightmare, the hallucination, trance, and the fantasy. I am the scream, the cry, the roar, and your demand for me. So kick, so fight, so breathe for no reason. Ignite, just reach for crest to stand on. And it's time. Just push. Let's go. You just jump. It's one step and one time. So right now, you release and get up and believe that it's yours and you can just shine. In the meantime, let your radiance run rapid. Let your brilliance touch everything. Illuminates the passageways. And let's go out here into this brave new world. Me and you and me, and discover.
All right. Judges, it's time to hear what you think about Jovan Mays' poem. All ready? On the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Our scores for Jovan are in the high ends of a 9.3 and the low ends of a 7.0. We're going to add an 8, a 9, and a 9.1 to give us a grand total of a 26.1.
Do not worry if your phone is on fire right now. It is the flames from the poets. I'm telling y'all. If you miss any of these previous poems, you're going to have to go back and rewind. I'm just saying. But right now, you're going to be blessed because you got another dope poet coming up in round 2. Please make a lot of noise for Ryan.
Let's just try it back here one time. Okay, shout out to Hoser and Franklin for putting all this together, creating the community in these trying times, and making this space possible for us to connect. Man, yeah. and the opportunity to be able to like represent Denver and everything. That's awesome. All right. Poem. Year 2020 proved too much. Universe could not hold number 8, 33, 24 any longer. And Gianna, his daughter, was 13. Didn't even get to lift off. Ironic because it was a helicopter crash. Helicopter, the root word helios, Greek for sun. So they rose toward that hot giant in the sky for one last time. Did the universe realize it was too small for her? That her greatness would be too big for it? Basketball, a sport that I love 24 poems over. But the same sport that needs acknowledging how white men have been putting up black athletes on these stages to bounce balls for our entertainment since James Naismith and his peach baskets. Like, why all the college population's white while all the athletes that bring the fans are black? Oh, maybe because America wants to see it like that. Death. Another clap of the casket. This grief, this process of healing. I know too close right now. See, my pops popped off a couple of years ago, and recovery is spelled P-A-I-N-F-U-L. Yeah, taking these L's, this one thing in life we do not ask for is to watch our loved ones die. It is in death we discover our human mortality. This magic, this connection that we all truly share, how precious this life is, this flesh, these bodies just floating around. So can we drop the bullshit? Practice gratitude and compassion. Recognize our goodness, because there is no economy of love. The more love that we give, the more love that there is. And how come the ones who give their lives to love are the first ones to be taken? Look at Jesus. Gandhi, Martin, Malala was only a year older than Gianna, so who's next in this pando? Yeah, this shit has become Mando, and I won't name the names that bend the universe the other way because they are not worth our attention, just trying to get some kind of fucking Twitter mention, but for us who'd rather be remembered for our goodness or not remembered at all, no. That the conscious evolution is upon us. So let's spread that virally.
Okay, judges, get ready. We want to see the scores for Ryan's poem on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Our scores for Ryan are in the high ends of a 9.8 and the low ends of a 5.9. But we're going to take a middle scores of a 7.8, an 8.7, and an 8.7 for a grand total of 25.2.
Our second round is coming down to the end, which means that we are really close to our final round. We have one more poet left, so please help me welcome up with a lot of noise, with a lot of comments, however we can make noise in the internet. Please make a lot of it for Theo Wilson, a.k.a. Luciferi.
When I learned to crip walk, I didn't know that it would be on my slave grandmother's ovaries. But boys in the hood ain't never cared about breaking no eggs, hatching misogyny between the grooves of our Converse and the chronic. Compton set the rhythm for my generation's heartbeat. Dr. Dre slapped this girl D. Barnes, then sampled the smack. And remix it in like poison and the grits my mother fed me. And now we feel commitment like impromptu prison prostate exams. Hillary Clinton called me super predator. Mandingo Big longer than the mandatory minimum sentence. Nothing new. Soccer moms like that been screwing us since they could shackle us to their shadows. Say our wood is as tall as the mast on the good ship Jesus, so you could crucify Christ to our morning erections. Mandingo. Bred to be fighting niggas. Temper shorter than the neck on Mike Tyson, my nigga. And say nigga so often can't taste overseer's breath bursting from my mouth like muzzle flash in Chirac. I am the steam rising like a spirit from the bullet wound. Heart colder than the frostbitten trigger finger of the black boy too slow on the draw. Like paramedics, barely put on the sirens when they come to the scene. Like this outcome wasn't engineered. Like chalk outlines ain't akin to the red lines that drew the ghetto when white real estate chose where black bodies could freeze. The fates of gangsters be chained together like they're breaking rocks and not selling them. My DNA is all too familiar with merchandise. Under the microscope, I am linked to a Mandingo warrior, master probing his prostate pants down for all to see, breaking this buck. Then making change out of his manhood, planting seeds for generations of homophobia in his colon. His grandsons will sag their pants like a dare, like he genetically knows he's assed out. They call his neighborhood the trap so many times that when I shoot this brother, kinda sounds like emancipation. Like field Negroes is just crackheads, this reincarnation. Souls now enslaved to something else white this time, putting something else but dreams in the pipe this time, because black folks is just Africans with our hard drives wiped. Too much salt water washed away our native coding. So we programmed our culture from scratch like mama's grits, but the only manhood ingredients was peppered shards of massa's whip. To my slave grandma, I'm sorry for war dancing on your womb. Sorry white feminism wove a Lynch rope from your fallopian tubes and placed my neck where Thomas Jefferson's belong. That's what I get for gangster mimicking his massacres, for driving this thing through women's lives like a derailed train through a wall. Mandingo. White slur of word Mandinka, Gambia, West Africa, where mothers are trees who sprout songs that ripen into people. When ancestors return as infants, it's the ultimate remix. Tell Dr. Dre, I am bathing the black masculine in the amniotic fluid that sang me back to life. Now ain't that a black woman that cleans you with that dumb shit? Baby your crusty ass ever since she was fruit tree, and you a mango with a symphony inside. Kick off them Converse and conduct yourself accordingly, cuz who set the tempo to your heart's Mandinka warrior drums? She who broke her body so that you may breathe.
You are watching the Denver Digital Slam on the We Are Denver Network. That was Theo Wilson with some fire poetry. Judges, voice of God, please let us know what the scores are for the poets.
Our scores for Theo are a 9.9, an 8.0, and then we're going to add together a 9.7, a 9.2, and an 8.6 for a grand total of a 27.5.
What an incredible round two. That brings us to the end of round two. So now we're going to go over to the voice of God and see which poets are going to make it to the final round. Franklin CRUZ, who is moving forward?
Thank you to everyone for their round two submissions. We're going to say thank you and come back to the following poets: Alejandro, Jovan, Ryan, and Theo. Meaning, in our next round, we will be seeing, in this order, Seth, then Kenya. All right, guys, good luck.
We hope that you're having a blast watching the Denver Digital Slam, and we're going to keep this fire going, so please help me welcome up the next poet up to the stage. Make a lot of noise for Seth Walker!
You know, Eve, before you, life in Eden was a lot simpler. There were fist-sized fruits, water balloon ripe, dripping from every tree. The sun was smiling into the writhing waters of the Red Sea. Butterfly-filled kaleidoscope breezes were pouring over green silk grass carpeting. Long days of doing nothing but titling the artist's newest creations. It was routine and unsatisfying. He told me stories of existing within the void, making me within himself for company. Unfortunately, the spark it took to force breath into clay carries many unforeseeable consequences, like snakes and curiosities. I was my father's first child. I soon gained self-awareness. Been the only one of my kind, my wine-sack stomach with the sickly fullness of too much before cancer. Had a constellation to call shoreline, it was you. Beating through my skin, God offered to pry my heart's favorite rib, create a liver-shaped hole in my chest, but filled the trace space made from fingertips touching with pieces of the very bone that gently listened to my heartbeat's first whispered rhythms, ground stardust fine, and reconstructed to the tune of Venus. The artist compromisingly crafted another reflection so at least one of us could exist who'd never know being lonely. That was my job. When I heard the thunder clap, we'd only been apart a few moments that day. It wasn't fair. People learn about forked tongues only after dealing with them. It wasn't your fault. We both wanted to be wise like God before you came. I took a bite of the forbidden fruit too. That's how I figured out I was alone in the first place. I knew we were naked this whole time. It's one of the reasons I always asked you to jump for the high fruits and gather berries at the bottoms of the bushes. I can't help myself. You were made for me. We've never had to question being soulmates. Now we love so much like God, it makes him jealous. I bet one day he even writes a commandment about it. My love, let him keep eternity. And I'll die in your lap, head back, your eyes guiding my descent into ether. I'll remember first discovering how our pieces fit, learning sensations of life swelling in your belly, the thing of a new consciousness ripening in your vessel, the longing to touch them to your lips more than cage them in your ribs. Let us teach our children that Eden was all rules and gates. We'll rewrite the history on the walls of caves saying that we escaped. The pain of thorns in my feet will only spur smiles knowing that when I left God, the best thing he ever made came attached to my palm, my dearest Eve. God doesn't know what he let go of. I won't make that same mistake. I'm not upset with you. This is our genesis. I know now that we are human, imperfect and beautiful, scratched mirrors playing as their reflection. We were once, are now, and will forever be one. Beyond the day that our clay settles back into earth, we will always have our story. Besides, if life were perfect, it'd be fucking boring, and thus imperfect. Let's leave Eden to God. We have a world to create.
Woo! No holding back. All right, y'all. Judges, please. Voice of God, please tell us what are the scores for Seth.
Our scores for Seth are in the high end of a 9.5, in the low end of a 5.9, but then in the middles of a 9.5, a 9.3, and an 8.9, giving us a grand total of 27.7.
Thank you all so much for tuning in to the Denver Digital Slam and the We Are Denver Network. We are so pumped, and we're also ready for the last poet in the freaking first ever Digital Slam. Please make a lot of noise for Mahogany.
Love, there's so many things I've got to tell you, but I'm afraid before I can get to you, this world is going to snatch you, detach you before I can even breathe my power into you. See, this poem was written for my baby girl, Love. See, my mission is to protect you like a lioness in the wilderness, ready to slit the throat of any snake daring to hiss at her cub. See, I wish a motherfucker would try me. I'll turn into Mahogany, that malice mother, ready to murk anything that tries to hurt what I've given birth to and created. Since before you walked onto this earth, you were loved. And although some people made it their business to put their 2 cents of nonsense in, it made it evidence to see the jealousy oozing from their faces once they got a scent of this greatness coming from my womb. Guess they forgot the bloodline that you were connected to. So you are here on purpose for a purpose. To bring life brand new meaning, and best believe it is worth it. And anybody thinking otherwise, best believe they are worthless. See, my mother told me that a real mother will go to war for her child. And I understand that now. See, I have my 4-5 cocked, ready and loaded for battle, standing strong and proud. To say that I am a mother I am. And if I wasn't, then why would I say I am? Snap back to reality. apologize beforehand for bringing you into a beautiful world of confusion, where people are walking around living lives of illusions. But now that we've met, how I adore you. And I refuse to have bloodstains on my hands, just like the sibling before you, but mommy's here for you, anticipating your every cry, wanting to sing you lullabies, because that's what mommies do, right? Like, hush, little baby, don't you cry. Mommy's right here with her black 4-5. And I stand ready. And on that magical day, when my glow was complete in all of its essence, my body opened up like a gift, and you blessed me with your presence, and I cried tears of joy, so deep that they mimicked the Pacific. To be specific, I'm just being honest. I laid on that hospital bed screaming back at the doctors, I am a reproductive goddess. Because let's be honest, that's what mommies are, right? That's what mommies are. And by far, you were the most beautiful thing that I've ever seen. And I laid you on my heart so that you could hear that familiar beat that has been rocking your umbilical cord for the last 9 months. And then you looked me in my eyes and realized that I was here to protect you. Because that's what mommies do. Instantly, that's what mommies do. So baby girl, welcome.
Simply amazing. Simply amazing. Judges, please let us know what the scores are for Mahogany. Ready? 1, 2, 3.
Alrighty then, friends. For the final time in this Denver Digital Slam, let's get our scores for Mahogany. Mahogany's high score was a 9.9. On the low end, again, with that trend of not even really low scores, 8.6. And we're going to add together a 9.8, a 9.4, and a 9.0 for a grand total of a 28.8. And friends, if you did the math correctly, that makes Mahogany the winner of our first official Denver Digital Slam. Congratulations.
Congratulations to all the poets. I want to say thanks again, to Alejandro Jimenez, Paulie Lipman, Jovan Mays, Elijah, Kylie, Ryan, Theo Wilson, Mahogany, Hakeem Furious, Tolua, and Seth for being a part of this. There's a lot of poets who were interested and wanted to be a part of this list as well. Don't worry, we will continue to do this. This is something that we kind of fell in love with in the process. I want to thank Ryan Fu and the rest of the Black Actors Guild and We Are Denver Network. What a great platform, and thank you all for allowing us to be a part of this. Thank you to the judges. Thank you, Wade. Thank you, Mr. Cedillo, aka El Yayo. Thank you to Tikwa. Thank you to Pamela, and thank you to Noah. It's been an amazing experience so far, and we hope that you share this with your loved ones. We hope that you share this with anyone who enjoys poetry. We had a blast, and we hope that you did as well. And so if anybody knows this, say it with us. Denver, Queen City of the Plains, lift high our spirits, sing well our praise, for in you we live in our love. That's a dope poem by one of the homies, Ted Baca, and we love y'all. We hope to see you again. This was the Denver Digital Slam on the We Are Denver Network. Peace.